I'll play it back for you. He's in a new film called The Road Dog. Doug Stanhope is the star of that. About a road comic near the bottom rung of success who has to reconnect with his long-lost kid who thinks he wants to be a comedian.
Oh,
the non-glamorous side of the life of a stand-up comedian. So I was like talking to Fitz Dog.
I'm interested in that.
I'll have that for you later on.
When's that movie come out?
It's streaming now.
Oh.
Yep. It's on all the streamers, I think. Also get to some Bobby Knight stuff a little bit, too. Our buddy Alan Ruck crashed into a restaurant. They're trying to figure out what's going on there. I'd like to know more on that. And Kim Kardashian complaining that her kids tell her that Kanye's awesome and he's got everything figured out. Kids are so stupid. You know, we as a society cannot decide. I know that two things can be true in any situation, but we have not yet been able to decide whether or not kids are way smarter for their age or way stupider. And a lot of times, you know, it's just a matter of perception. But she was talking about, they still had that show on over there on Hulu, which just got completely bought by Disney, by the way. Disney.
It was pretty much bought by Disney. I mean,
it was, but
like
they
55% or something like that.
They own like 75%. They bought out Comcast's share of Hulu. So now Disney fully owns Hulu. They were already pretty well integrated into it anyway, but
Disney is just, it's scary how much Disney owns.
Well, and they've got a lot of revenue streams, right? I mean, you figure if you look at the theme park situation and you go, well, that's going to get impacted by the weather getting weirder.
And then they own.
And things just getting more expensive, and you're going to have employee strikes and labor union issues and things like that. Then they pivot over to the streaming. And then they go, well, we're kind of plateauing on that too, because they also own Marvel, and they're in deep doo-doo over there.
Yep.
And they have a Disney Village, I guess it's called. Like there's like the parks and then downtown Disney, and then they have like Disney for like apartments and housing for all the workers there. Like, you know how Cedar Point has like little things where it's
sure,
seasonal,
the dorms.
but they have these people that live there year round, and like, so they're landlords. So imagine if that just gets bigger and bigger. If the park keeps getting bigger, then they need more people to work there, and they'll put people in these little housings, and they'll own Florida. They'll just keep going.
Well, they might want to get a change in leadership at the top of the state then. Someone a little more amenable to their needs.
I mean, the only reason why they probably haven't had someone from Disney run for office is because they make more money at Disney.
I was going to say, you want that quiet money.
That's a demotion.
And it ain't that quiet, but I mean, you want to, you know.
You're out of the spotlight more.
North, she'll go to her dad. She'll be like, Dad is the best. He has it all figured out. He doesn't have a nanny. He doesn't have a chef. He doesn't have security. He lives in an apartment. And she'll start crying. Why don't you have an apartment? I can't believe we don't have an apartment. They do that at Scott's too. Like, Dad has the best house. Your house sucks. He has the best house.
Could you imagine your kids who are the children of billionaires going, what? Dad doesn't have anything. I'm tired of being in this giant house. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Boy, the grass truly is greener, isn't it? And let's be real. Kanye's apartment is just a much smaller house than the compound that Kim Kardashian lives in. It's not like the guy's, you know, like when Lemmy from Motorhead was alive. That guy was living in an apartment. He had, you know, he had like
Doesn't Keanu Reeves famously live
like
in
a one-bedroom apartment or something? Yeah.
It's like on the beach, like on the ocean, but it's not. It's real small.
It's like a beachfront cottage.
Yeah.
So imagine sitting there and your kids. Listen, Kanye's not Kanye to them. Kanye's their dad.
Yeah.
So anybody's dad, you know, is either a dick or mom's a bitch. You know what I mean?
Right, like, go there. There's no rules. There's no rules at Kanye's place, I'm sure.
Right.
I'm sure they go there and they're just eating candy and having a good time.
He's teaching them about life.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
He cares about the World Series.
That's right.
And there's black people on that team, so
Whoopity-scoop.
you look foolish now.
Whoop-de-scoop-de-poop.
Comes in handy when he's got little babies.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's But it's tough. And single moms, which, listen, they have a lot of help.
I was going to say.
But they're not married. I understand.
I don't want to call her a single mom. Kim Kardashian is not a single mom. If you're talking about a woman who's unmarried and raising a kid, that's very different than a single mom. A single mom is you got to go to work and
you're right.
Don't call her a single mom.
Okay, I'll put it this way. I'm just putting it through the prism of my divorce.
Billionaire mom.
When your children don't, like my older kids they grew up with their mom, right? So I was seeing them all the time. I'm going to Michigan like every other weekend for 15 years. But when they don't live with you, like, even though I was two states away or one state over or wherever I was at the time, 3 states away sometimes, you can still be like, cool weekend dad. And then even though mom's taking care of them all the time, mom's the one that gets screamed at, and that, because you take familiarity breeds
She's taking
contempt.
the brunt of all the
all the
life.
anger, the life. So even if you're Kim Kardashian, like, some things don't change. You're still taking the brunt of the kids going, Dad's awesome. And she's like, your dad loves Nazis, right? Just FYI. And the kids don't care. They don't know what that is. He's still their dad.
I've never told my mom that dad was awesome.
But you don't know your dad.
I do know my dad.
But not to the point you didn't grow up with him.
I didn't. Yeah, I've never spent the ill.
Right, man.
Well,
That's what I'm saying. Like, the kids are going back. They're going to see Kanye.
I'm just trying to imagine a world where my parents were together and like going to my dad's place and what it would be like. It would be, I mean, I'm a messy dude, but my dad is
next level.
Yeah, like he's
Really?
just a very cluttered guy. Because he's always got a bunch of stuff going on. So, like, going to work for him.
You get that from him?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're very alike in that way. Where just getting into his truck, it was just all prints and tools and just all sorts of crap in there. And you just got to push it over and just make it.
Oh, not Prince the musician.
No, like blueprints. Stuff like that.
His whole front seat was Prince CDs. I could never figure it out. My dad had Purple Rain on a loop. I get into his work truck. It was alphabet, whatever. And
but he still knew where everything was.
Yeah.
He goes, hey, well, I need that one. And then he'd pull it right out and look at it while he's driving. Just madness.
But imagine you're that rich and your kids still come back to you.
And they're like,
why don't we have
an apartment?
Dad doesn't have a chef. It's awesome. Like, in what world is having a chef a bad thing? He doesn't have a nanny. He doesn't have a chef.
It probably means he's buying them fast food. And they probably, I don't care how rich a kid is, the kids still want McDonald's. So that's my guess, is that he's getting them.
I see.
Takeout or Uber Eats or something like that.
Well, also,
I don't imagine Kanye's cooking them all dinner.
But he hasn't had like a home for a while, right? He's traveling with that new wife of his or whatever, and so he's probably just got a little place to lay his head.
And how often is he? Are they doing every other weekend? Because he is out there. Like what's the schedule?
But that's what I mean. The perspective of these kids is that Dad's apartment is awesome, except that his apartment is like a $20,000 a month place in West Hollywood.
Right.
So
it is awesome.
And it's right.
It is probably awesome.
There's a
and
pool.
I think
he's not going to have anything that like they don't have at home.
Right.
Well, he bought the house across the street. That's why I'm trying to think. I don't know what property they're talking about because Kanye West has a lot of properties. He had that ranch in, what was it, Oklahoma or
no clue.
It was Nebraska or something.
I thought it was Wyoming.
Wyoming, that's what it was. I'm sorry. He had a ranch in Wyoming. He bought the house across the street from Kim Kardashian. Don't you remember that story? Because I talked about, that was a little creepy stalkerish. So he could have, an apartment in New York City, which everyone has an apartment in New York City. So I don't know what they're referring to. He has a lot of property.
I don't know. But to have your kids start crying and go, oh, it's great. There's no nanny.
Plus,
there's no chef. Like,
no
what?
security, she said, either. He walks around with no security, which scares the crap out of me because, okay, even if I feel like I'm invincible, I want my kids to be protected. And people are crazy nowadays. They can walk up and do anything.
Mm-hmm. And when would you ever feel invincible?
I mean, probably if I was a billionaire, I would feel like I
feel like I had more of a target in my head. I'd always be worried that my kid was going to get kidnapped, or like that J. Paul Getty movie of it was based on a true story.
Well, I'm saying
back in the day where there weren't that many billionaires, it was a much bigger deal. But they were always worried about their grandkids getting kidnapped, or
Yeah, I mean, but I'm saying Kanye West, he probably feels like, I got a target on my back anyways. What difference is security? You just gotta have that strap on you, and then
strap on.
What was it called? You gotta stay strapped.
You gotta have a strap on.
You gotta stay strapped.
I'm not messing. If I see someone wearing a strap on out in public, I'm not messing with that person. So it might work.
I'm going the other way.
If I see someone just walking around with a strap on, just flopping around, I'm just like,
over their clothes.
We're gonna cross the street.
Yeah, they don't need any firearms in that situation.
Plus, I don't believe Kanye West doesn't have security. He probably doesn't have a security detail, but he got goons for sure. They're probably just watching and you don't see them. They dress just like you and me.
I was reading a thing over Halloween that they were trying to, they do these little psychological studies on what makes people so excited to be scared, why horror movies are so popular. We were talking earlier in the week, they said that a majority of people said that if they found the perfect house and found out it was haunted, they would still buy it, because that's how effed up the housing market is right now. And, of course, hauntings made up. But why people like getting scared. And they said it's something called predator inspection, and it serves an evolutionary purpose, not just to get your adrenaline going. Usually they're like, oh, that's pretty simple explanation. People like to get scared because you get a shot of adrenaline and it, kind of. But they said that evolutionary-wise, predator inspection is a way to get information about the most dangerous things in your environment, like a morbid curiosity.
I think that's why true crime is so popular, especially amongst
people
women.
People are taking notes.
Yeah, well,
I want to see it coming.
Yeah, that's women. It gives them some sort of feeling of control where they go, okay, now I know what to look for in these serial killers or these situations.
Except just as many shows about true crime are about killer women as killer men. In that way, the true crime genre is very democratic. It's
in that way, they're getting ideas of how they could commit the crime.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
it's a little both.
You get both sides of it. So they said that when we expose ourselves to scary situations, we're on some level preparing to handle real danger. They were measuring biofeedback of people who are watching scary things and stressful scenarios and things like that. So it doesn't just, there are some people, Halloween is past, obviously, but there are some people who take great pains to really go all in on Halloween. That's like their Super Bowl, World Series, Christmas, New Year's all rolled into one, as they love Halloween. Trouble is, it's kind of long on setup and short on delivery. You talk to people who go to great lengths to make their home kind of scary for trick-or-treaters and things, and the kids don't care. They're like, I had this. No, that's what I mean. It's ultimately for you anyway, but you also kind of, if you want to scare people, kids are a captive audience,
I remember when I was trick-or-treating, this was one of the out-of-towners. This was like when we were in Westlake or something. I was with my cousins, and this person set up a haunted house. We were trick-or-treating, and this person set up their house as a haunted house, and they set the bucket of candy at the bottom of their basement stairs. And my cousin was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. He was like, oh, come on. He was
I'll buy my own candy.
He's like, you're right there. He's like, no, you're not. He's like, I'm not going to have them walk to the bottom of your stairs, sir. He was so mad. He's like, oh, all right, Connie, you can come out now. And, she walked upstairs. He's like, here you go. Here's your candy. He's like, it's just a haunted house. He was like, you don't understand how that looks, having a bucket of candy at the bottom of your basement stairs.
You get halfway down the door and go, slam.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I didn't think about it as a kid. I was just like, well, I'm sure he probably is a haunted house down there, but I didn't think about, it was.
Did you see the video that went around of that family that went up to the door and took all the candy out of the bowl? Like they're taking armfuls. They empty the bowl. And I think it was on the Ring camera. I think the guy who owned the house is like a country music star or something, and he was on the road.
I saw that video, but it was people were being racist because they said it was a bunch of immigrants. Is that true?
I don't know about that. You can see that the parents and the kids, and they're just throwing all the candy into their. bags. Huh?
What city is this in?
It's somewhere in Texas, I think.
I think that's what it was.
That they like clean the bowl out.
I saw it on Twitter, and they were like, "This is what happens when you let immigrants run wild." And there's
that they were immigrants.
They were immigrants, and they're like, the integrity of Halloween is gone.
Well, it's Texas. I mean, half the people there are Latino. I mean, that doesn't mean that they're.
But people have been doing this for years. That's why I don't believe in handing out candy when you're not there, because you can't expect people to be respectful. Like, unfortunately, that's the world we live in. People aren't going to be respectful.
I guess that's what we did. Because I was here, Gwen and Nora were off trick-or-treating, so we put a bowl out that had, like, unicorn popcorn in it or something, so it's like you pop it, it's blue.
Now, what I always knew was going to happen when it was take one situation is that there was somebody waiting to scare us. And that's usually what it would be. So you go, and then you, like the kid that would try and take, even if you just took one, there'd still be somebody that would pop out and be like, we gotcha.
I saw another video where it's kind of along those lines, where they put out a metal mixing bowl full of candy on the step, and it says, just take one. They were counting on people trying to maybe take the bowl or pick up the bowl, so the guy electrified it. Or wired it so you get a shock.
So you're going to go to jail over
something. Well, no. It's like a low level.
Yeah.
They're not getting tasered by the LAPD. I mean, but... Yeah. But obviously the comments from people are like, we can't have, this is why people are selfish. And it's true, but
it is very
what are you going to
true.
do? I mean,
but that, an entire family.
It's a dick move. So you're like, okay, cool. So now you have all the candy. Now what?
But it was also full size. So like, it's a greedy ass.
Full size candy bars are overrated anyway. I mean, it used to be a flex, but now a full size candy bar is just multiple tiny candy bars.
Well, yeah.
Every bite you take, just take a couple of little ones. That's good.
Normally, I would care that people are getting put on blast, but this family kind of deserves it. That's kind of like a crappy thing to do.
Well, it's right. Listen, everybody's got a goddamn Ring camera now, so it's right in front of the camera. It's not like they didn't see the camera.
Right.
They didn't care. They're like, yeah, got your candy.
I wonder what the translation was. I think they're speaking Spanish, so I just want to know. Like, they're like, ooh, he thought wrong. He left all his candy out here. He thought he was just about to take one. Oh, no. Like,
is he doing?
Keep going.
Yeah,
no, do what you're gonna do.
Come on, when you work for the Guardians, you're gonna be working with a lot of Latino players. So I think that's gonna be.
We're gonna take all of your candy.
That's gonna. Wait, what was it again?
We're gonna take all of your candy.
That's his Spanish accent.
I guess so.
We're gonna take all of your candy.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like Gomez Adams. That's not a. Wow. All right. Well, I don't know anything about that. I mean, I just. I think that the video came from, I thought it said it was a video from like a country music singer who was on the road or something. So that's unfortunate for them if that's true, because that sounds like a potentially high-profile guy who's now put his Ring camera footage out there and let everybody comment on it. And again, I don't think there's any like repercussions legally for something like that. You put a bowl out there, it's on the honor system. Some people don't have any of that.
That's what I'm saying.
So yeah,
try that in a small town.
We did.
Shoot you for a right, Twix.
The only Spanish I know is, or the only Spanish person I know is Shawn Mendes.
The only Spanish person you know is Shawn Mendes, but you don't know Shawn Mendes.
Okay, know of is Shawn Mendes.
But you know of a lot more Latino people.
I relate more to Shawn Mendes.
He's Canadian, for Christ's sake.
But his last name's Mendes.
Yes, that's true.
I want to know how he speaks Spanish.
His father's Portuguese.
He speaks Portuguese, yeah.
Portuguese. All right, let me break here. If you want to send a text, 35192, I'll have, if you're a fan of comedian Tim Dillon, he's on the American Royalty Tour. It's going to get him to Cleveland in a few weeks. So I'll have those tickets for you after the break. And then 3:30 is the next chance for you to grab $1,000 from the Buzzard Bookie.
It's the Alan Cox Show. Everywhere on our free iHeartRadio app or whatever smart device you have.
Just tell me to play the Alan Cox